Okay, we're getting started maybe almost an hour late, but that's okay. We had some maybes, but they weren't able to show up. So much in the tradition of the original Lone Wolf adventure books, we've got one player, but that's quite all right. That's quite all right because, like I said, that's the way it was set up with the original gaming books.
Right.
So, my name is Eric Padraig. I am project designer for Haphazard Projects, and I am a die-hard Joe Dever fan. I've read every single one of the game books that I've managed to get my hands on, including a couple of UK copies.
UK
So,
publishers.
three copies of the Magnum Moon Companion,
Hmm.
a couple of the novelizations. So I'm probably as well versed as any American can be. Um, but anyway, so
Yeah.
we're not going to be running the intro scenarios as they are presented in the book. We're actually going to be running a scenario of mine that once upon a time was written up for the Lone Wolf MMO years ago.
Hmm.
And it just unfortunately didn't go through.
Yeah.
But it was written, and it never got to see the light of day until now. So,
Dun, 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 dun.
yes, if I can have Nathan go ahead and start with any questions you have about the character, about anything, and let's try and keep it under 15 minutes. But I want to explain as much as I can because this is truly an amazing setting that this man has designed. And
So I guess I've I've read. I'm probably not as well versed as you are. I played a lot of the. Uh, it was like the play by post format for. There was a very old text based forum for the White Wolf, not White Wolf, the Lone Wolf series, and I have
okay,
like
yeah,
it's like a printed out about this thick. It was
yeah, I actually remember that. I wasn't involved in it, but because I was too busy writing up, other game designs and stuff like that. But I
mhm.
was aware of it.
Yeah. So that's
So you have some passing familiarity then?
I have more than the passing familiarity. I really like the system. At least the game books were phenomenal. That I've held on to the like six books that I've had for over 30 years now. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, a lot of my books is the same thing. Got them between 82 and 84, and before long had you know all 20 of the U.S. versions, and then I had to start trying to hunt down the UK copies and
yeah.
whatnot. But
Did
but
you
yeah, they've stayed with
yeah, did you also get into his spellcaster series? I think it was called Grey Wolf or something.
Gray Star.
Grey Star, yeah. It was like six. I have I've read six of those. I think is what the total was.
There were only four.
Okay, then I must have doubled back on a couple of them because I borrowed them from friends,
Yeah,
and I had a cousin that gave me a copy, and he's like, "Hey, I've got this book," and I'm like, "Cool." I'm like, "Yeah." So yeah,
yeah. I actually prefer the Gray Star series. I mean, Lone Wolf. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Lone Wolf is the reason I'm a game designer. Um, but the Gray Star series was so underplayed. I mean, they only had four books, and I bet that you could stretch that storyline out and make it fit into 10 books, and it would still,
yeah,
it wouldn't have wasted space because I mean, it's just be further extrapolating upon a lot of things that were just glossed over.
right.
Um, but we might not have too long before we have the option to play characters like that with this game.
Okay.
Um, there's
Who's
a
the
there's
who
sorry.
actually who put this game out? I've seen various people say that there are different um, designers for this game. So
Well, the production was done by Cubicle 7,
okay,
um, who's, they're huge now. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
but everything was pretty much written by Joe Dever himself.
Right. So
Um, so you're literally getting as close to the game books as humanly possible.
right. So
Um,
okay, I just wasn't sure who had actually done this production of it. I've been looking for a while to find an actual. It's a very easy system. I mean,
yeah,
I haven't actually played the RPG of it, but just the book itself. I mean, those things played out so well, and it was like they came out with the Choose Your Own Adventure books. They came out with the D&D series, and then there was the Lone Wolf series, and this was like took it all in a whole other
yeah,
direction. So
yeah. They really got back to the basics with this. Um, down to you can only have 8 items in your backpack, 12 special items.
mm-hmm.
You start the game with 5 disciplines.
Right,
Combat skill, endurance. The only thing that's different this time around is Kylords have willpower to activate their disciplines instead of having to spend endurance points. So
okay,
that's kind of a nice thing.
okay.
Um, but
So yeah, so you got traits, you got skills, you got disciplines, and the traits and skills were added in for the role playing game then because
for
I'm familiar
for
with
this game, for
okay,
this game specifically, that's what you're looking at. That's
okay,
you know specifically they wanted it to where if you had a trait, you have a slight modifier, but if you have a
mm-hmm.
skill that works in conjunction with that trait,
Okay.
then you're getting another
And so you're stacking
+1,
modifiers.
right? And
Yeah.
any of your disciplines feed into that. You also get a +1,
Right.
and that's just at your basic initiate level.
Right.
Once you start selecting additional disciplines, you can mark one as advanced,
Right.
which will increase the bonus up to
And
+2.
then
Mastery gives you up to +3. So that's a total possible of +5 to a single action. Um, yeah,
so
which is about as good as you could actually get in the game books themselves.
right
So
until you did the Magna Kylords the
yeah,
second series.
yeah, the Magna
Yeah,
Chi.
I held on to my little sheets, man. When I played through that, I was like, yeah, okay, bring me the next book. Just give me the next one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it gave you a real
Oh,
sense of like actually progressing. Some of the other like choose your own adventure books, you play it and you're like, okay, all right, what do I do with it now? You know, it's like, okay. So yeah, I have character sheets with my I go through there and figure out the stats
yeah.
and go through it and dang it, I died and go back and figure out where I died and like come back at it again. So yeah, this is
I think a lot of people play these books that exact way. Um, but
really trying to find the combinations that work best. You know, it's like
yeah.
so,
I mean,
and that was the
even
good
if
thing about it too. There wasn't like one straight linear way to play it. It's like
oh
yeah,
no,
you figure
yeah.
out what skills you want, and then you're like, okay, you have to play to your strengths.
Every decision you made had an impact on everything, whether it was how many meals you had in your backpack,
Right.
if you had a weapon that you were actually proficient in. I mean, it
Right.
was the first one of those books that, sat back and said, um, you've got equipment because you never had that in one of these books like that. And then,
Oh,
you've
not to
got,
this extent. No, it's yeah, yeah. That was very much unique to the Lone Wolf series. Like it really everything made a difference. Like I remember some books you just pick up an item and it's like, okay, whatever, and we just this one you can get in 2 or 3 books further and you're like, I didn't pick up that item.
Yeah.
like what was that item? Where was it? So yeah. So this is good then. So did they create what was the I can't remember what the original map was that they had in the Kylord's books, but I don't
Um,
recall it being Lashlands. It was
well, it's called the Last Lands because they're the only truly civilized allies
okay.
um,
All right,
in
makes
that
sense.
region. They may have allies elsewhere, but in that region,
Hmm.
you've got the two most powerful kingdoms separated by an expanse of wasteland.
Right. Big.
Um,
Okay.
but I bet I can pull up a map. So let's see here. And if I thought about it, I would have done this ahead of time. But okay.
Let's see if I can.
Oh yeah, here we go. All these maps are just absolutely beautiful. Um, let me see here. I'm trying to find the actual map that I'm looking at here. But I am failing at this task. Good lord. All right, this is not the same, but it's a good one. So let's see if I can screen share. Okay, this map is actually from the Magnamoon Companion,
Okay.
which was literally kind of a let's look at the entire world.
Okay. That makes
So
sense.
let me make sure. I don't know why it's being this difficult. Okay. Now, whoa. All right,
Oh,
so
there
I'm
we go.
assuming you can
Yeah.
see. Yeah, you can see it now.
Yeah. The Northern
Yeah,
Magnum Land.
yeah. This area up here is Summerland, which is um, basically the Kai Lord's protectorate. The Kai
Right.
Monastery being somewhere right in there.
Exactly.
Um, and their closest ally is over here. Their city is completely surrounded by mountains, which is ridiculous fortification.
Yeah.
Um, and then they got the expansive, wasteland in
Right.
between. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is an old map, but this is what I'm used to, referring to.
No. No.
So,
Yeah. That's the map I remember. So. And I've seen other maps that have actually zoomed in on that like close up on Summerland, and I think I've seen ones that have off to the, I guess, the west side of it. Like there
Yeah.
was the the mud version of the game actually had a they had a black and white PDF that was, I think, specifically that section west of Summerland. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah. I don't have too many questions. I mean, it makes uh, I've tried to figure out how to make this an RPG for a while. I was like, I thought it was such a cool system. I was like, you got to be able to take it and transfer it from a paperback book to an actual like role playing game. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad that People Seven got it. So
I mean that's literally what he did. You know,
yeah.
he added a few things to make characters more um, more I don't know. I guess so they didn't feel like they were all carbon copies. So you could have a group of 5 Kai Lords and all of them have something different to bring to the table. You know,
Okay.
between the traits and the skills and the
Mm-hmm.
disciplines and whatnot. I mean, it's just, you know, because without that extra stuff that they put in, playing, you know, everybody playing a Kai Lord
Yeah.
could get really silly. So, but
I guess the other question I have is since they he moved it from being a solo player to a group, is there a way for me to um, lend my skill or something to a party member, like give give a boost to my party member while he's playing?
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are traits and skills and even some levels of disciplines that allow you
Mm-hmm.
to basically, you know, give bonuses to people around you.
Okay.
Um, or just take all the bonuses yourself.
Yeah.
It's you know it's really open ended considering the fact that everyone is playing the exact same class basically. Um,
Yeah.
but
Which isn't. Yeah. He did the one thing. Now, if we could get the Gray Star version of this, that'd be great. But yeah, he basically took everything and went, put it all into one pot and said, okay, everybody's pretty much this way, and you know, based on what you choose, that's where you get your distinction. You're not a mage, you're not a cleric, you're not a thief, you're not a fighter. Everybody's a Kai Lord, and then you know, which was which was really good
yeah,
because I kind of get this. I think people get distracted with that whole class based system anyway, and it's just like,
yeah, and you know, pardon me here.
mm-hmm,
Um, the um, the next book they're releasing for the adventure game is called Heroes of Magnamund, and it's going to allow you to play all those additional classes. So,
uh-huh,
you know, you'll be able to play a Durney's Knight, a Boar Dwarf Gunman,
mm-hmm, okay,
you know, Shadowkind Pirate, all sorts of different things. So it, he definitely knew that the initial draw is for the Kai Lords themselves.
right,
And it's only the people that are fans that will feel that little bit cheated, you know, because it is just Kai Lords when there are so many other options that are presented throughout the series.
right,
Um, and I don't know how he would be able to work the Shantai wizards in there,
mm,
but yeah, that's something I would play, you know, in a heartbeat if I could get somebody to run it.
right.
Um,
Well, I
so
mean, you can count me in. I'll figure my way through it. I gotta get a hold of books and stuff. But
yeah, um, well, and I'll say this right now for anybody who happens to be watching, you can get all of the books free online. Something that Joe Dever worked out almost over 10 years ago. It's called Project Aeon,
Right.
AON. And you can read the books online or you can download them. And they pretty much have everything except for the novelizations. And they're working on making sure that they've got everything. But the selection is more than enough. I know they at least go to book 20. They might go further than that.
Oh, I'll be,
So,
yeah.
yeah, and they're all free to read. That's the
Right.
amazing thing. I mean, while he sits back and he charges for, the extreme things like this adventure game or the video game that he has on Steam,
Hmm.
um, those things cost, definitely. But to
Yeah.
be able to read all those books, award-winning books that were printed in 18 languages, I mean, come on. I don't think D&D has ever been printed in 18 languages. Maybe
No.
3 or 4,
Oh man,
but
the
I mean,
translation nightmares for that would be just outrageous.
yeah,
Yeah.
jeez.
But
But
yeah.
okay,
So
so
I mean, as far as what's been printed from Cubicle 7, they basically have just the the one book and then a series of adventures.
actually, from what I have read, and I haven't read too much, I've been too busy reading the adventure game itself because it's
Uh-huh.
got 3 books inside of it. Um, from what I read, they've actually got a third book after the Heroes of Magnamoon, and the name escapes me right now. I cannot remember
Okay.
for the life of me. But they're still going to be putting out books,
Okay.
and Joe Dever is still putting out collector's editions of the original game books.
Hmm.
And then Project Aeon is still transposing everything so it can be disseminated and shared online.
Yeah, I think that
Um,
was probably the one thing when I was in Europe for a couple of years. I actually found a copy of one of his books translated into another language. It floored me. I was like,
yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
It's one of those things. I'd be like, I don't know what it's saying.
Oh, actually,
I
I've
know
got to the point where I
I
knew what he
know.
was saying. I
Yeah, I mean,
memorized the original copy in English.
yeah, I mean that's but I can't read the book, but I'd still
Yeah.
buy it.
Oh, for sure.
I'd
So,
definitely buy
like,
it.
we could go to like Cubicle 7, or I doesn't Joe Deaver have his own website with the gaming books for the
All you
for
all you have to do is look up Lone Wolf Adventure Game,
uh-huh.
and it will pull up absolutely everything you could possibly want to know. It'll show you
Okay.
the books that are coming down the pipeline. One of them, because this was originally done as a Kickstarter, the first
Oh,
Heroes
okay.
of Magnum Moon is already being delivered to the backers, so it should be available to everybody else within the next few weeks or by the end of the month, definitely.
Hmm.
And then they had the next book in the series was slated to come out somewhere in October.
Yes.
I don't know how accurate that's going to be, but that's what they were saying.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean this game's got a lot going for it already.
Right.
Um, so
So, okay,
um,
just a couple things off the character sheet, real quick. Um, the like on the special items, like the tunic does it provide any additional things other than just identification?
pardon? What?
The Kai tunic,
Yeah,
it just is an identifier, or is
yeah.
that actually
It's kind of funny. They made this specific um, uh, tint of green
right?
that
Okay.
somehow is impossible to forge.
Okay.
So when you see that cloak, you know that it's a Kai Lord or someone managed to kill a Kai Lord.
Right. Okay.
Um, so if you're wearing the green, people are going to expect a lot of you. So if you killed one just to take the cloak, and you don't man up and act and do the things that a Kai Lord can and should,
Right.
then they're going to know you're a fake. I
Right.
mean, just I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's like um, the Kingdom of Summerland. The only person that knows outside of the Kai monastery how to make that specific color is the king of the Somlending.
Uh huh.
So so yeah, I mean it was pretty funny to find out that it gets that specific, which I just think is great. Little
Yeah.
details like that. I mean, good lord.
Yeah. So
Um, got
so
anything
like
else on the
the
character sheet that?
I was just curious. So you got armor, defense, and a shield, but the
Yeah,
I was just trying to figure out. So this character, I'm looking at Fire Oak, and he has a leather jerkin. I was trying to
right.
figure out if that defense was added in to one of those
Uh,
armor defense or
yes,
okay,
yes. Um, and his trait Hardy
right,
gives him a base defense of 1.
okay,
The leather jerkin gives him a 2, and
okay,
the shield gives him another 2.
okay. So that's the defense, and then he's got the shield +3, which adds to his combat
Right.
skill.
Yeah, as long as
Okay.
you're using the shield in combat, you get a +3 because that's not a basic shield at
No, no,
all.
no. I mean the name says it's not basic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um. So
All right. Yeah, I was just trying to pin some of this together and see what I went ahead and printed out the 6 sheets that you tagged to the Google so I could look at it real quick here. Chainmail, kite shield, leather jerkin. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have too many other questions about it. Mostly, I mean, this just looks like I said, it's just been modified with the traits and the skills and stuff. So
yeah, there's
then,
really not much else to it.
so how do the rolls go then? So in a combat roll, I would you're gonna roll a d10. Does that get added to your combat skill and then compared against the defense?
It works just like it did in the books.
Okay,
Defense,
that's
yeah,
just important.
there's a couple of differences, and most of it is your defense score. If you take damage,
Uh huh.
then the damage is lessened by an amount equal to your defense score.
Right.
So
Okay.
basically, your armor's taking some of the blow, your shield, your inherent toughness, stuff like that. But you still have to figure out your combat ratio, and you roll a d10, and hope you roll high enough. It's one of the
But
only
does
situations where rolling a 0 is actually a good thing. Um, but yeah,
okay.
so
So it's basically the comparison of combat skill to combat skill, and if you succeed in over top of your opponent's combat skill, right? Then you take
right,
the defense and you subtract and then it's subtracted from the endurance, right? Is
yeah, your
where you
endurance
take the
is your
damage.
hit points. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And what are the modifiers that come underneath each of those? The combat
Um,
skill, endurance, and
yeah,
willpower.
that's yeah. This is new, which I actually really like. Combat skill basically is a measurement of your physicality.
Right.
Okay, it's the base comparison that says how strong or agile or anything that your character is.
Mm. Okay.
So um, basically, if you're familiar at all with the D20 system,
Right. Yeah.
um, each numerical value has a a modifier to it. Like if you have a strength of 18, that gives you a +4 modifier to add to all of your strength-based um,
Yeah. Okay.
tasks. And this works the exact same way.
Okay.
So with your combat skill of 16, I mean, it's just below where you need to get a +1. Your
Yeah, I see the
endurance is
17 on there.
32. Yeah,
Yeah.
endurance is 32, so that's a huge. You get a +2 for that, and that's basically resisting diseases and poisons and fatigue and things like that.
Right.
And your
Okay.
willpower,
So
your willpower covers every mental action you can think of, including socialization.
okay.
So,
All right.
and so basically, if I tell you, you have to roll a 7 or higher to succeed, then the first thing you do is you add those modifiers, and then you look at your traits and your skills and your disciplines and figure out any other bonuses you can get and pray to God you got that 7 or higher.
Right.
Because I mean, in Lone Wolf tradition, it's still true. If you don't make a difficulty level that the book asks you to, I mean, it's always something bad, always. um, because
Yeah.
this was a very harsh environment. So one of the reasons why I liked it so much. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
it literally you're just adding up all the numbers until you've taken advantage of um, every trick on your character sheet. And there are two ways to handle experience. They suggest after every scenario, you go up a rank, which
Hmm.
means you know I mean you get overpowered real quick. You'd be playing a Kai master after
Yeah.
5 sessions, which
Right.
is kind of ridiculous for me. And they also have a kind of a level based to where it has like 20 items, and you finish your first scenario, you get a +1 to your endurance. Finish your next one, you get a +1 to combat skill. Finish your next one, you get a new trait,
Uh
and then
huh.
you get a new discipline. And they break it down like that, so that every level you're getting something, but you're getting more out of it. You're able to play 20 or 25 different scenarios before
Right.
you hit that Kai Master level. And I'm interested to see if they actually put rules out for Kai Masters and Grand Masters and stats on the Summer Sword.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the
You
first
mean
thing I
they didn't
went
include the
looking
summer
for.
sword? What?
No, it's not in the book. It's not
What?
in the book.
Oh, come on
Um,
now.
no, it's set so far behind the events leading up to the first Lone Wolf book, Flight from the Dark.
Right.
So
So they haven't even had the sword crafted yet. Then is
no,
what.
no, no. The sword was created thousands of years ago, but it's been held in Hammerdal, which is the capital um,
Yeah.
of their strongest ally, because it hasn't been needed. Because
Oh.
they only pull it out of the vault under extreme situations. Um, and the book of the Magna Chi is lost, so no one can really advance above a Kai Master.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm curious to see, if they put that in the next book or another book that just
Yeah.
expands on it, because I'd like to see how they would make, the Magna Chi work, you know. But anyway, yeah, I'm just when it comes to Lone Wolf things, I can ramble like no, I mean, you
No,
just wouldn't
no, no,
believe.
no. Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I don't have too many other questions. I mean, it might be different for somebody else who's never done anything with the system, but um, so I guess the ones and the disciplines. Do the various ranks and the disciplines give you additional things? I mean, like I seem to remember that.
As you
That may
got
be
higher
confusing
in
what it is.
rank, the disciplines could do more.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the exact same way they have it in here.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you remember what happens when you hit your next rank and you have the Sixth Sense
Hmm.
discipline, it works that way in this game as well.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
so you ready to get this party started?
Yeah, we could get it. We could get it going.
All right. And maybe if people watch the video or if you post something about it, you know, we can continue on the storyline. Like I said, this is a prequel to the one that I have planned for next weekend.
Okay.
Um, so, hopefully we'll have some more people come in for that.
Are you
Um,
you wanted to use anything like Dice Stream or anything when you're doing this?
um, yeah, I usually use Dice Stream.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I've used it. I have
Okay.
so many different ones that I use. I have. Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
only
probably play
difference
more games than
is,
I probably should, but you know.
yeah, the only difference is, of course, the only die you're going to be rolling is a D10.
Right.
So, all right, it is late summer, and there is a thunderstorm that just is crawling really slowly over the stretch of Summerland between the Guild City of Toran and the Kai Monastery. Just torrential rainfall. And the monastery has had to send out Kai lords to help fortify um, a lot of villages to the east that are so close to the Durncrag Mountains.
Mhm.
Protecting from mudslides and avalanches and things like that. The rain is that heavy. So the actual number of Kai lords that are present in the monastery at any given time is dramatically lower than most people are used to. And another thing you got to keep in mind, as an initiate, you're anywhere from 12 to 15 years old,
Okay.
probably closer to 15. Um, but you're still young, but you still have that. You still took the vows. You're still considered a warrior monk. You're considered of age to go out and do things that Kai Lords are supposed to. So I just wanted to remind you about that. But a lot of the training has come to a halt, mostly due to the fact that a lot of the teachers have been called out to some of the other villages and towns that have more of a population to use their enhanced skills to,
Hmm.
shore up these places. Um, and after about 4 days of this, there's only literally a handful of people there. There are about 5 or 6 other initiates, and then you have Riverblade, who is a 18 or 19 year old master of. She teaches weapon skill with swords. And then you have the senior Kai master, Wise Owl, um, who basically teaches tracking and animal kin, and a couple of other disciplines. He's basically the Gandalf of this place. If you got a problem, he's going to have an answer for you, and you may not like it, but he's got it for you.
Hmm.
Um, and they're the only two people of rank that's really going on. A couple of the other initiates kind of pick up the training on their own by having little bits of competition, with archery and wrestling and other things that would they would be actually being taught if everybody was here,
Right.
but all they can do is practice what they know.
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of the situation. It's dark, it's damp, it's a little bit depressing, but at least the food's hot. And there's still plenty of people there to do the cooking and the cleaning and all of that. So, the Kai Lords don't have to worry about that. You still have plenty of people working around the monastery.
Right.
Most of those people are family of Kai Lords. So, and I didn't do much on the characters' histories, but I do believe your character, yes, Surfborn.
Yep.
So you were the lowest uh, social class in Summerland.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so go ahead, go ahead.
yeah. So as far as Fire Oak is concerned, he was born and raised along the Dune Crag Mountains. Uh, his family worked the mines. Uh, been that way until a Kai Lord came through on a routine pass and uh, noticed some unique traits. Um, Fire Oak doesn't remember what his name was before. I mean, his being initiate and everything.
Yeah,
That's one of those things we lose the name and
the Kai Monastery pretty much adopts anyone that shows the sign, usually between the ages of 5 and 7, and that's when they start their training. Yeah.
so I was
Um, th-
probably just a little older than that when they came through. It just, you know, probably more closer to 7 and 8 year old.
yeah.
But I was working the mines. The Kai Master, who I name, I see him every once in a while. I just don't, I don't remember him by name. I just remember the leaving home on a horse on the back with I was on the back of a horse with this Kai Lord, and he took me
Yeah.
from the mountains back. So the only, I guess, the transitioning into the story now. Has there have we had any like word from that particular area of what's actually gone on, other than the mudslides and the other things? I mean, our families safe and secure? Do we know the status of the Kai Lords in that area?
Um, Most of them, yes, most of them are able through their disciplines
Mm-hmm.
to get messages to the Kai Monastery, and even if they can't, Wise Owl is something of a sage or a
Mm-hmm.
visionary.
Okay.
So he's able to check in on those that haven't passed word. You got to keep in
Okay.
mind when you're dealing with a Kai Lord, the Kai Lord can say to an animal, hey, I want you to go to the monastery and tell everybody that I'm okay.
Right.
You know, and if it's a deer or something like that that can cross the distance quick, you know, all it takes is
Right.
somebody with animal kinship, the discipline, and they can understand what's being said.
Okay.
So
So
it's that simple.
right. So that's what I was leading to next. I've been, even though he's been away from his his birthplace for the last 10 years, he's been kind of, he keeps track. So when he he speaks with the animals and talks to them and finds out what's going on, So when we heard that the storm was rolling across the Dune Crag Mountains, that was, he became concerned about it. Uh, he tried to talk to the Kai Lords and ask him if he could go along with them. Getting kind of a wave off and told to stay at the monastery. So
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you were told politely that you weren't ready for situations like that.
mm-hmm.
And most everybody who was deployed out into the field during the storm system, um, has been able to offer tremendous assistance with minimal damage to the areas. Um, and a large share of that is simply due to their mastery of the disciplines. Um, and So, I mean, while it's long going,
Uh-huh.
everything seems to be going, going according as if it was one plan,
Mhm.
as if one mind was guiding everybody to get these things done. Um, but coming up on day 6, um, Riverblade knocks on your door in the monastery. You can't tell if the sun's come up, but it's still raining. Lightning's still popping off in the sky.
Uh-huh.
Um, and she basically cracks open the door and says, get dressed, put on your cloak, and meet me in the sparring range in 5 minutes. And she closes the door, and you can hear her going down the hallway and knocking on doors of the few initiates that are still there. So
Right. And the sparring range,
um,
is that an indoor or outdoor?
it's outdoors, and
Okay.
sometimes it takes you 5 minutes to get from your room to that court. The monastery is not a small place.
Right. Is
Um,
it now the rooms that we have, are they we got a window that we can see out of and that kind of thing?
yeah, you have a window, you have a cot,
Right. Is it
not a lantern, not much else in your room because you are technically a monk. You know, I mean,
yeah.
seriously, they're
No,
called
no, I
warrior.
was more curious about the so we're we're talking like how many like stories to this particular part of the monastery.
Um, Now I should be able to remember this specifically, but it's
It's
either
fine.
2 or 3
Okay.
on each wing, because
And can I see the sparring
there's a
area?
western wing and an eastern wing that serve as kind of dormitories.
Okay.
Um, and I'll put you on the east wall.
Okay.
So yeah, you should be able to see the sun coming up. But for the dark storm clouds and the lightning cracks and the
Right.
thunder cries and
Okay.
whatnot, it's
So the
just a
sparring,
cacophony.
yeah, the sparring arena, is it something I could see from my window, or is it something that's a little further removed from?
It's further removed,
Okay.
um, because you are sitting on the east wall
Right.
and looking out.
Out in the
Um,
way. Okay.
yeah, it's basically on the other side of the dormitory wall,
Okay. No
in
worries.
almost the center of the keep.
Okay.
So
So yeah,
yeah,
I I put on my leather jerkin and grab my shield and put my cloak on and try to figure out if there's anything else I can do to keep the rain from making life miserable. Grab my axe and my spear and head out the door and see if I can't
okay,
make it down there.
all right. I'm going to use this time to do a what they call a test,
Uh huh.
and it's very simple. It's just like you see it in the books, where it says, if you roll, 0 to 5, go to this page. If you roll 6 or higher, go to this page.
Right.
It works literally the exact same way. So basically, your target number that you're going to be trying to get to is a 6.
Okay.
That's kind of the default. for a difficult role.
Okay.
Um, so the first thing you would look at would be your combat skill.
Okay.
Does not have a modifier. Remember,
No.
physical actions go off of combat skill.
Okay.
Um, you don't have any traits or skills that would help.
Okay. I was
Um,
I was thinking like investigating tracking, but
yeah, unfortunately, because you know exactly where you're supposed to go.
okay.
But you
So yeah, we're
just don't. Yeah, you just don't have anything that can help you particularly in this. So you're just gonna have to, hope you roll. Now, there's also something on your character sheet called Kai's Favor,
right.
and that's basically the sun god Kai, who created the Kai Lords
Right.
millennia ago. Um, it's basically where he sits back and says, "Okay, you show promise, so I'll intervene and give you favor
Okay.
in times of need." So you can spend a point of Kai's favor to re-roll something,
Okay.
and you basically get that you get the points back, um, usually at the end of the scenario.
Okay.
But I can like if enough time goes by, I can sit back and say, okay, you get a point now, and another amount of time goes by, I can give you another point or whatever.
Okay.
But to go over your maximum, you really have to act and perform to the highest of standards of Kai Lords.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah. I was
like
noticing that what Goldheart has a 3, and then what's his name? Greystag has a 1. Poor guy.
right. It's based off your combat skill, endurance, and willpower.
Oh,
If you
wow, that's
yeah,
like a
so
huge combination.
the higher those values, the less of favor you're going to get because you can walk your own way.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
You know,
Okay.
um, every Kai Lord starts with 1 point. And then basically, since your willpower is only a 12,
Hmm.
that's where you got the other point from. And if your combat skill and endurance had been low enough, you could have gotten more points there.
Okay, that makes it explains it then. That's good.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
also one other type of roll, which for us is literally just going to be like flipping a coin, heads or tails.
Hmm.
It's a luck check.
Okay.
Um, so the game presents everything with tokens, and you flip a token on the random number table of all things to see what you roll,
That's
and
so
then
awesome.
you can flip the coin for um, the luck check. One side has the face of Kai, and the other side shows the face of Nayar, the
Right.
god of
Okay.
darkness. So, I mean, like I said, they went all out with this. I mean, I was
Great
so
stuff.
impressed. I really was. So, if you want to get down there in the most expedient fashion, you're going to have to roll a 6 or higher on your D10. However, keep in mind if you roll a 10, that counts as a 0.
Okay.
The exact same way it was in the books.
All right. No worries. Oh, we hit the 5.
Ah, a 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
not the most expedient man getting down there.
No, but still, it's not that bad. You didn't fail by much of a margin. So basically, you get all your stuff on, and you're running down the stairs, and you see everybody else pretty much there,
Hmm.
but all their stuff is askew. Like their weapons aren't in the scabbards or anything, and nobody took the time to shave or anything like that. And they're all just kind of like panting in the rain as their tunic and their gear just starts getting heavier and heavier, and they're just utterly and completely miserable. And Riverblade's just standing there the entire time, standing erect, straight backed, everything. Her very well known bastard sword across her back. Um, and she sees you coming last down the stairs and whatnot. And you manage not to trip over anything, but you get in line, and she basically looks over everybody and says, "Okay, I'm sorry to wake you up so early. I know this is not near as much sleep as we try to give you, but with the sun not shining through these clouds, our dials tell us that it is about 3 hours past for the new day.
Mm.
So I apologize for that, but what has happened is fairly significant, and unfortunately, you're the only ones we have available. Now, we have not heard from one of the villages in basically 2 or 3 days. Um, and we need someone to travel basically to find out, how things are going. It could be that they simply can't get word to us, but we want to make sure that nothing untoward has happened. It's a small town called Fogwood, and traveling your best speed, you should be able to get there in a day. Um, so I would like for
Is that in the
you.
rain?
What's that?
Is that in the rain, or is this a normal day's travel?
It's normally one day's travel. A Kai Lord, trained and in shape, can cover 25 miles in a day.
Right.
Compare that to a normal human that can do anywhere from 8 to 15.
Right.
You know,
So,
Kai Lords are impressive.
yeah. So Fire Oak's over there doing the math. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm not the brightest guy, but I can figure it out. It's going to probably take me about 2 to 3 days to get there.
Well, in the rain, through the forest, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, but she basically, um, walks all of you over to the quartermaster's office and passes out some dry tack for everybody, but she doesn't give you any. And before you can say anything, she just kind of gives you this look of, just wait, okay?
Right.
And she turns to everybody else and says, "May Kai be with you." Um, and come back and let us know what's going on as quickly as possible. Um, and they all, give a slight bow and turn on their heels and just run full out along the slippery cobblestones, no one falling. Um, and then after they've passed through the main gate, she turns to you and says, "We have a slightly different situation that we would like for you to deal with. Um, there have been some people that have gone missing over the duration of this storm, um, and one of the villages in question is your birth home,
Oh
which
wow.
is some place north,
Right.
about 40 or 50 miles northeast, right on the edge of the Derncrag Mountains. Um, from reports that we've gotten, there have been more than 20 people within a 10-mile radius that have come up missing. I know that King Allen sent out some mercenaries who were paid very well, but he has yet to hear from any of them. So he has asked us, the Kai, to investigate. And we felt that your skills and your knowledge of that area might very well bring about success where the others might not. They're better suited for their task at hand.
Right.
And
So there wasn't a particular Kai Lord sent that direction then, just this set of mercenaries.
right.
Okay.
But there were apparently the king has vested interest in this area that he has not deemed to share with the Kai. But everybody tries to handle themselves because, you know, if you keep on just relying upon the Kai to do your own stuff, you know,
Right.
they're finally going to turn to you and be like, look, you've got to take care of your own business. You
Right.
know, we're not the police, we're not a fire department, we're not anything like that. We need to be utilized the best way possible. So they're superheroes, but they don't stop to get cats out of trees. You
Oh no,
know,
no, that's understandable. I'm just trying to figure out. Um, well, while she's talking, I'm like, do we have a map, something I could look at real quickly?
well, it's on your map.
Okay.
You can
Uh,
look at it on your map.
so he pulls the. I'm like, he points to towns, basically. I would say what, north of his birthplace and to the south of his birthplace, and there's like, would you have? Would there been? I'm just looking for a potential backup in the event that I come into something more complicated. I just need to know if there's another Kai Lord within the distance that I could send a request for aid if I get out of my
Unfortunately,
line.
no.
Okay. All right.
Um, there, the area in question is known as Ursinor,
Uh huh.
and they haven't had to put up with too much of the storm. They've kind of lucked out, and their place was set upon the mountains in such a way that they're very well protected from the storm.
Right. Okay.
So, you can go through and look at the area and whatnot, but if you have to like call it a night or whatever, that's a good place to go. It's just a small village, but
Right.
you're safe or should be safe from the storm.
Okay. Um, Before I set out, um, he, he goes up to the third floor and to the aviary up there, and he's got a pigeon that he's been he's been working with his animal kinship. He takes
Yeah.
it and puts it in a kind of a covered cage, and then he heads back down and finds Riverblade. Like, is there a spare mount that I could take?
Unfortunately, all the Kai Lords that have the training,
Uh huh.
um, they've taken all
Okay.
but 5 of the horses, and we need those here in case of anything.
In case of anything, this is anything, right? Anyway, so okay.
Traveling
All
on foot for a Kai Lord is much better than riding on horseback, especially during storms and things like that. You know, Kylords are extremely fast and able to follow, you know, through the woods and almost never get lost, especially in their own backyard,
Uh,
because they know the area so well. And then
well,
with
I'm
you,
I'm an
and with you,
initiate. I'm just trying to figure, trying to find a way to cover the distance a little faster.
well,
So,
there's the
what do you?
thing. You have the tracking discipline, correct?
Yeah, I've got tracking, and I've also
Yeah,
got camouflage. I've also got investigate as a skill. So, and I had
right.
the writing. That's the only reason why
But
I had writing. I'm like, yeah, let me get the writing.
but the whole thing with you having tracking, that means you know all the little back roads and secret little paths, and you
Right.
know, I mean, you
Okay.
know the land better than most. You know, because
Right.
A, you were raised in that region, and you know, B, you know, you've got the training. So,
So,
and that's probably
do I still have access to them? Did you actually post up a map?
um, I did not, but I bet I can find it.
Okay. Yeah. So, I guess
Um,
the only other thing that I would see.
Let me see here.
So while I'm speaking to Riverblade, and I walk over to the quartermaster and just ask if he's got a length of rope, a spare one that I could get a hold of. Uh, or if it's going to be something I'm going to need to purchase along the way. So,
Oh no, I mean he can give you rope. He gives you a nice thick coil of rope, which will take up. It's so thick and long. It's going to
right,
take up two spots in your backpack.
okay, right. All right. So, yeah, think I'm going to use my spear as a walking staff, strap the axe to my belt, and put the I'm actually going to modify the shield. I'm going to take some straps and like modify the shield so that it actually works as a almost like a helmet for the time being, just enough so that I can get not have my vision obscured while I'm walking in the rain.
Oh, what's the matter? The Kylord doesn't want to get wet in the rain.
Oh, I'm already wet. I'm just nothing like, hey, we don't have any windshield wipers. I can't see anything. Anyway, um, but yeah, nothing like wet leather. Leather jerkin's gonna need to get dried out eventually, but we're good. Um, yeah, so I would I let Riverblade and Wise Owl know that I will try and send some type of report with the animals I pass by. Um, yeah, and I'm figuring probably four. Yeah, I should be there by week's end. I'm figuring it'll be about 4 days. Just have to avoid some of these areas because I'm concerned that some of the areas are actually flooded, and I'm going to have to make some detours.
Well, we certainly understand that. Um,
So,
and we will be actively looking for any messages from you or any of the other initiates, um, just to make sure that everything is um, not warranting, you know, higher ranking officials going in.
right. Okay.
And I can find every map except for the one that I'm looking at.
All right. No worries. And then I'll just give you kind of where and how I'm heading out. Then, I as I leave, I go with Kai and I bow and head off and take my make my way and descend down out of the monastery and head into the lower lands.
Okay.
Uh,
Heading towards the Derncrag Mountains,
yeah,
northeast, basically.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, northeast.
All right. So, um, after a few hours, um, the rain almost seems to go from just straight down, a deluge of
Uh-huh.
just buckets and sheets of water, to where the winds from the mountain is actually pushing the rain like almost horizontally. And it's just absolutely miserable. Starting to go through these foothills, it's starting to get a little bit chilly,
Right.
um, a lot more than you would expect for at the end of summer.
Yeah.
Um,
This weather's very
but
nice now.
yeah,
So
it's not enough to make you worry about anything. It's just one of those. I wonder why it's this chilly this time of year.
right.
Um, and it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. Um, and you see a little opening, a small glen. Um, and you're going to need to make a test here.
Okay.
Now, the difficulty on this is going to be a 6.
Okay.
This is a mental test, so it goes off of willpower, so you have no modifier there.
Right.
Um, you have investigate, so there's a
Yeah.
+1 there,
And
and you have tracking,
trekking. Right.
so that's another +1.
Okay. So
So
I guess
that takes the 6 down to a 4. If you
okay.
can roll a 4 or higher, then you're good.
Okay. That was a 4
Uh, squeaked by on that one. You
so,
you stop walking, and just kind of like send out, some sense of perception, trying to get a read on the situation, and you get the distinct feeling that it was a campsite less than a day ago. You start looking around and you can see, um, even in this rain, you can make out, 2 or 3 distinct boot prints, and they're all leading towards this small little glen. Um, so, do you want to approach the glen, or are you gonna bypass it? How you want to handle this?
um, I am going to use my my camouflage,
Okay.
but before I do that, I'm I take out I grab the carrying cage for this pigeon and I release him up into the air with just the words of "Go see," and hoping that he can fly up into the trees and just like give me a quick view of whatever he sees and then comes back. So I'm gonna wait just long enough to see if he comes back or not. So
Oh yeah. The bird comes back in less than just a couple of minutes.
uh,
Um, and it perches on your shoulder and tweets a little bit, and you get the impression that it saw 4 or 5, because
mm-hmm.
birds can't really count. Um, people, shiny people, who are sleeping.
Sleeping. Okay. So I take the bird under my tunic and dry him off before I put him back in the cage,
Okay.
cover him back up, and then like I said, I'll use the camouflage, and I'm actually gonna my curiosity is gonna kill me, but yeah, I still want to find out what we have up ahead, so I'll sneak my way into the glen and find a position where I can observe. So I'm gonna probably step off of. Apparently, where I'm going is the tracks they've used. They've used the access, so I'm gonna bypass the tracks and use my camouflage to sneak my way into the campsite.
Okay. Gonna have a difficulty of 5. Your
Okay.
discipline training will make it to where if you roll a 4 or higher, you're good to go.
Okay. Nope.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay. So you try and come up on this little glen, basically flanking it.
Right.
Um, and you're walking slow. You're keeping on the balls of your feet. Um, you can't even hear yourself making any noise. Um, and you start to look up into the glen. You take a few more steps, and something thick trips you up. It literally gets between the heel of one foot and the arch of the
Yeah.
other, and you just go down hard, smack down, face in the mud. You feel a couple of branches like snag on your tunic, and you're not wearing green anymore. You're wearing brown and gray. Just absolutely a mess. And you start to gather yourself up, and you look down and you see that you tripped over a man's torso, wearing banded, very, very, very polished banded armor, except for a large wound that goes from the top of his left shoulder down to his gut. Um, and it seems like whatever caused the injury um, was giving off intense heat, because parts of the armor look singed, as if burned,
Uh-huh.
and there's no visible signs of bleeding. It's like everything was cauterized as soon as it was cut. Um, and so you see that, um, having seen that, do you want to continue into the glen, see what happened, or
Yeah. I quickly, I very slowly, I check to see if I have aroused anything from the glen,
no?
and then
There's no movement.
okay,
No movement.
I I slowly back my way up and over top of this body, so the body is between me and the glen, so I can do some investigating. Let's see what's going on here.
Okay.
Um,
Um. So you said investigator. You wanted to make a roll.
yeah, I'm gonna make a roll. One of the things with it being out in the weather, there should be some like I would guess like if he's laying out in the mud, there should be like splatters of mud. I should be able to tell like how long he's here
Oh yeah.
roughly.
Basically, that your investigation
Mhm.
and then your tracking skill and your healing, or excuse me, your tracking discipline and healing can
Right,
both help you find, you know, the telltale signs of, okay, well, this wound looks 2 or 3 days old or whatever. So,
right.
um, but the difficulty is going to be 7
Okay.
because of all the heavy rain and the bad weather.
Right.
but you're going to have a total of a +3,
Right.
which once again means you just got to get a 4 or higher.
You keep jinxing me. That's what it is. Oh
Oh,
no! Outside of my
okay.
story.
All right. Well, um, you see, you think you see 4 corpses, but they've been torn literally limb from limb. Um, most of the heads are missing,
Right.
and some of the exposed flesh seems to be heavily burnt and or partially eaten. Um, as you're looking over everything, um, you you find a few things that are interesting. You find a total of 6 kika. A kika is a small black coin, excuse me, that's used in the Darklands.
Mm.
So this is basically bad guy currency.
Right.
It takes 10 kika to equal 1 gold crown.
You said
Um,
it takes 10?
10 kika equals
10
1
Kika
gold
one.
crown. So you find those,
Mm.
and then you find a black sword. Um, and with your basic Kai knowledge, you know that this is the type of sword that the Gaiacs
Right.
are sent out with. So they're hell forged, black, hard black
Mm.
swords, but they're very light. Um, and in addition to that, there's a broken crossbow and a couple of bolts just kind of strewn over the place.
Uh-huh.
And in one of the belts, there's a scroll that was tucked in very hastily. I mean, it was almost like wadded up. But when you unfurl it, it is a very accurate map of Summerland. Um, the distances and everything, from everything that you've ever learned about tracking,
Uh-huh.
you can tell that this map is probably the most accurate map that any Kai Lord has ever seen. Um, and probably the first thing that pops into your mind is, I wonder what Wise Owl would think of this, because he is one of the foremost trackers in, the Kai Monastery.
Right.
Um, so,
Okay. And
um,
east.
but the body parts are not those of warriors from the Darklands. They're not the Drakkar
Right.
or Drakkar or the Drakkarim. Um, these are, as best you can tell, mercenaries, probably from points south.
Okay.
Because Durnor doesn't put up with mercenaries at all.
Hmm.
So you're looking at, there's a possibility they might have been from Ragadorn, which is like the halfway point between Summerland and Durnor,
Right.
um, or Ruinon, which is, I'd say that's about 2 weeks travel south directly from Holmgard.
Right.
They actually have a road that leads straight from Holmgard, which is the capital of Summerland, straight down to Ruinon. And Ruinon is known for shady characters.
Right.
So you
So
got
this.
one of two places that they might be from.
Right.
Um,
And so the equipment and the things that I'm seeing would basically lead me to believe that they've come from someplace south and further east of where Summerland is. Or does
um,
it? Or does the sword look like it was just randomly discarded?
well, these individuals wouldn't normally be carrying around these things. So
Right.
what probably happened was they came across some Gaiacs, killed them, took their stuff, but
And then
were
ended
later
up
slaughtered by something.
whatever. Right.
Since most of the wounds are burned, you don't see how it could be Gaiacs.
Right.
Uh, there's got to be some level of magic involved,
Right.
because it's not like somebody just held a torch to the arm, or anything
Right.
like that.
Okay.
So your
Um.
your first and foremost thought on that is it's got to be magic.
Right. Um. I. Okay. So I. I'm not sure if this pigeon's going to be able to carry this or not, but I take the scroll and uh, jot a couple of notes, just like my location, a couple of things I found. I roll the scroll up and I strap it to the in a way to the pigeon's body where it's not gonna hinder its flight. And I'm like,
Oh yeah,
um,
I mean,
send it
they
off.
they they use really small scrolls and they and
Right,
they
but
affix
this is
them
but you're
to the
talking
feet.
you're talking a scroll that the map. If I take the map and send it back with them, it's going to be bigger than the little scrolls in the
No,
feet.
you have to actually use the little scrolls that they're used to, and it can be a scroll this long,
Right.
but it's only going to be that tall.
Okay, I was going to try to send the map back because I that's just that's I'm like that all sorts of really interesting things
Hey,
with
for
that. But
right now,
anyway,
something may happen to where you need it. You
right.
know?
So I yeah I jot the message down. I'm like, you know, Wise Owl found we're finding stuff from the Blacklands, got Gaiacs equipment, currency. Looks like we may have some mercenaries flooding from the south and intervening down here. I'm proceeding on with my original mission, and I put the scroll back in and send the pigeon off. And I take the black sword, and I'm looking for like a, a makeshift scabbard or something that I can cover it up with, but still carry it because I no sense in leaving this
Well,
laying around for anybody
yeah.
else.
There's nothing you can really use as a scabbard, but
Okay,
you could tie it off to where it's
right.
on
So
your
now I'm
back,
just gonna take the cloak.
off your
I'll take the
belt.
I'll take the cloaks and stuff off of these guys, or whatever. Maybe a pant leg or something, and wrap it with the pant leg so that it's bound, and then I'll
Yeah,
just
you
strap it
can
across
you
it.
you'll find like a bedroll,
Okay, that'll work.
and you can do that.
All right, so
But you're gonna have to like tie it on to your backpack. That's really the only way with it wrapped up like that.
right,
If you put it on your back, it's gonna slow you down. So
no worries. Yeah, we'll strap it to the backpack then.
okay.
And I'm my curiosity is more piqued than ever. So I'm gonna make my way cautiously towards the camp. Um,
Well, at
I'm
this
not
point,
gonna be
actually,
sneaky.
you've been all through the camp.
Oh,
To find all that gear.
okay. I thought
Yeah.
that was before I got into the camp. My
No,
apologies.
no, no,
Yeah. Okay.
no. All the
All right.
dead bodies and all their former gear, or what's left of it, because like I said, for you know 4, possibly 5 mercenaries, there's
Right.
not much gear that's still here. So whoever
Okay.
killed them likely made off with some, you know, their choice of equipment.
Right. Um. So yeah, I do. I'm guessing from the leather that it's gonna be pretty difficult to find out how many other individuals may have been in the area. But I'm still gonna try.
Um, the best you're going to be able to find is evidence that these people, these mercenaries, have been dead less than a day. Which
Okay.
makes sense considering that you found their tracks so easily.
Right. Okay.
And you've looked at the bottom of their boots and seen that it is indeed those footprints.
Uh-huh.
And there are a lot of smaller boot prints, but just as heavy. Um, and you count maybe six, maybe eight distinct other footprints
Mm-hmm.
that are smaller. So the first thing you can think of is Gaiacs, because they are very squat,
Uh-huh.
but they're pretty heavy as well.
Okay.
So it's if it's
It's
not
like a
Gaiacs, then it's mountain Gaiacs, and mountain Gaiacs are nothing to
right.
to you know scoff at.
Right.
Mountain Gaiacs are the warriors. Gaiacs are like
Just the foot
slave
soldiers.
labor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So um, kayaks are always um, and the direction that these smaller footprints have gone, and the direction I need to go towards.
You would be following some of these tracks the way they came from.
Okay.
Because, of course, it's leading downhill from the Dern Crags.
Okay.
So they obviously came from an encampment, maybe up in one of the crags of the mountain.
It's almost like a
Um,
tit for tat. The mercenaries killed the Gaiacs, and Gaiac come back and got him. We're gonna.
yeah, well, it happens. It
Yeah, it
happens.
does.
There, Gaiacs are in huge numbers and they can be found pretty much anywhere on the planet. So
Yeah.
it's bound to happen like that, a couple of times,
Okay.
So
So yeah, I'm gonna be maintain caution as I'm heading out this direction, keeping an eye out for you know changes in the footprints and different things like that. But I'm heading in my original direction. So
okay. Be happy when I can get a desk. Anyway, um, all right. So you continue heading up the foothills, still in a northeasterly direction, um, and you see, how is it? You see four individuals, and you're hidden from them with all the forest and shrubs and everything.
uh-huh.
But you see four individuals in crimson cloaks, and they're too far away to hear what's being said. But three of them are wearing the armor of the Dracarim. So heavy spikes, um, and you know helmets that cover like the entire face, and
Right.
I mean serrated swords at the hip. No question about it.
Yeah.
They're your number one enemy, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And here's my dog. She's got to come over here and see what I was doing. Um,
So.
so that those are Dracarim.
Mhm.
You're just a little bit too far away. You can't really make out what's being said. But two of them kind of nod and start to walk away, and you hear this earth-shattering screech, and you look up and you see a Zlan beast. I don't know if you remember what these things were.
they're they're not like the wyverns or anything, are they?
they're the closest thing to dragons that exist.
Okay, yeah.
They're basically like wyverns. I mean,
uh,
they don't have any forearms or anything, but they're huge. I'm talking like wingspan of like 60, 70 feet.
yeah.
And it's normally they carry anywhere from 2 to 4 people. Even heavily armed and armored.
Mm.
So two of them hop on the saddles on the Zlambeast's back, and its neck is just craning all over the place. You can't tell if it's bored or if it's actively looking for something. I'm going to need you to make a camouflage
Okay.
check. The difficulty is going to be 7.
Okay.
The only thing you have is your discipline, so
Right.
you have to roll a 6 or higher.
0.
Ooh,
Nail
yeah, not
down.
not good. So this land beast, cranes its neck in your direction and lets out this just ear-piercing screech. And the lead Drakkar snaps the reins, and this land beast just takes off, banking north, and flies into the storm, and you lose visual track of it. The other Drakkar and the other crimson cloaked individual start pulling swords, and
Mm-hmm.
they start rushing into the underbrush to attack you. Now, you're going to be fighting these guys separately, okay?
Okay.
So you decide which one you're dealing with first. Is it the Drakkar or is it the other individual in the cloak? His hood is still up, so you can't really make out a face.
Right.
But like I said, the Drakkar are so they want you to know who they are.
Right.
So he's got a huge black steel serrated sword, and he just lets out this huge battle cry.
Right.
Um, Now,
Okay.
basically, the only change is there is an initiative system,
Oh. Okay.
but it's really simple. Whoever has the highest combat skill goes first. It's that simple.
Okay.
Um, and I have the hooded stranger at a combat skill of 20.
Okay.
Now you've got. Let me see here. What you've got? You're
If
sitting
I
on
do
a
the shield,
16.
if I do my shield and my axe, then I'm at 21.
That's what I was going to say. You can add that stuff in.
Right.
Um, so you're sitting at a 21, so you act first.
All right. So with the yeah, with my axe in hand and the shield, I I'm gonna go after the unidentified hooded figure first.
Okay.
Um.
Um, as you close distance with it,
Mm-hmm.
it lets out a ear-piercing screech, and it throws back its hood, and you see just this mummified face. Um, and it takes you a few seconds, but you realize that it's a Vordak, which is a one of the lieutenants of the Dark Lords.
Right.
Um, they are basically psychic undead, um, and so he's going to be using Mind Blast on you.
Right.
Um, so we're looking at you have 21.
Right.
He's got 20, so you have a +1 combat ratio. So roll a d10 and roll as high as you can, because remember, rolling a 0 on this is actually good. I
Okay.
don't
So
know
I'll
why
take
they had
that
to change
last
it up.
roll and replace it.
All right, hey, you got a 9.
Plus the one.
Um, so you swing your axe hard and heavy, um, and it cuts deep into the cloak, leaving a huge gash so you can see that you almost just, disemboweled this thing. It lets out a scream, and that's when
The mind
his
blast.
mind blast starts up.
Right.
But you did a total of 12 points of damage to him.
So how did you calculate
Um,
the damage then?
just like you do in the game books. You have
Okay,
your
so it has a
combat
standard.
ratio.
Right.
Yeah, combat ratio, your random number, and then you look at the chart. And you can use a chart from one of the game books. It's the exact same thing.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, so you took no damage and you inflicted 12. Unfortunately, the Drakkar is going to now attack you,
Right.
and you can't attack back. So even if you roll high enough to do damage, you can't do damage because you've already attacked once this round.
Right. Now, is there a does that change over time? Can you get? I mean, can your weapon skill go up to a point where you can do more than one attack in a turn?
Yeah, there are little tricks you can do. I mean, you can
Okay.
dual wield,
Hmm.
and they have some really simple dual wielding uh, rules.
Okay.
It's very
Yeah.
simple, really. So,
Totally.
but for right now, you're sitting at a 21.
With the
So
combat
21,
skill,
yeah, 21 minus 8, so that's a plus 3.
yeah. Okay.
You want to give me a roll of the die here. Let's see how it goes for you.
Not good at all.
Ooh!
He caught me while my back was turned.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So he swings with this serrated sword,
Mhm.
and I mean, just slices your left arm, almost just like from the shoulder down past the elbow.
Right.
It's a shallow wound, but it bleeds like nobody's business. So you suffer 5 points of damage.
Okay.
Or excuse me, no, four. Four. Now, the thing to look at in this version is your defense score. You have a defense of 4.
Right.
So the rule says that you're going to suffer at least 1 point of damage as long as more than 2 points of damage were done to you.
Okay.
So
So,
you're going to suffer 1 point of endurance loss,
okay.
um, because of your defense from your shield and the leather jerkin.
Okay.
So
I see where you're going with that.
yeah,
Okay.
that's like as complicated as combat gets. Other than that, it's straight out of the game books.
Right.
Okay, so now that everybody's gone, it comes back to you
Hmm.
and the Vordak.
Right.
His combat skill now is 22 because of the Mind Blast.
Okay.
So your combat ratio is -1.
Right. Okay.
Give me a D10.
Nice. Okay. A 7.
Why is it a 7? I see
Well,
8.
yeah, but you subtract 1, right?
No,
He had a plus on me, right?
the combat ratio was -1.
Right.
You don't have a -1 for your roll.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what this means is you only take 1 point of damage, um, which you have to take.
Right.
It's probably not from the sword attack. So I mean, we're talking superficial scratch on your left arm, but
Right.
it's actually the mind blast that
Okay.
did the damage to you. But it's
All
only
right.
one. It's only 1 point, and you manage to basically come back and reverse your swing on the axe, and it literally bites its way into this thing's midriff. and does another 9 points of damage. Unfortunately, you've heard horror stories about Vordax, and you know that not only are they incredibly tough, they
Right.
regenerate. So you don't know how fast they regenerate, and it's kind of hard to tell because the thing looks like a corpse anyway.
Right.
So next comes the Drakkar,
Right.
and remember, you can't attack it. So it's just attacking you with an 18. So that is a +3 for you. Give me your random number, please.
It's a 7 and 3.
It's a 7?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Um, this thing's sword barely, uh, barely swings in. Like your cloak catches most of it, but you end up with a superficial scratch on your right shoulder. You take
Okay.
1 point of damage, which you have to take.
Right.
Oh wait, no, you have to suffer 2 points to have the one. So since it only caught you with a 1 point attack, you take no damage. Your
Okay.
armor and your shield were able to deflect it. My bad. Um, so it basically had a wasted attack, wasted action.
All right. I'm gonna go
So
after this guy again. So
yeah,
the
do you have a question?
no, I'm just speculating. His attack's gonna go up one more because of the mind
No,
blast.
no. Mind blast only gives you a +2, and it
Oh, okay,
doesn't go.
okay,
It doesn't go up beyond that unless you're of higher rank.
okay.
So
Um,
he's still at 22, which puts your combat ratio at a -1.
right.
So give us that random number.
That's a 5.
-1 and 5. Okay. Sword and axe collide. Sparks fly as your axe goes all the way down the blade. Fortunately, you hit the blade edge, not the serrated edge.
Right.
And both of you almost lose grip on your weapons. They flip just a little bit to the point to where your axe bites into the forearm and his sword bites into your forearm.
Okay.
And where was it?
Minus
What did you
one.
roll? What did you
Minus one
roll?
and
You
5.
rolled a 5.
Yeah, on the -1.
So your axe does considerable more damage than his sword, to the point where you almost lob this thing's arm off, at the wrist. So that puts him there. And his sword barely scratches you. Your armor takes most of it. You're only going to suffer 1 point of damage.
All right. Okay.
Hey, can you hit clear and clear out all those dice that are hanging over your head?
Sure.
Cool. Awesome. Um, Now, at this point, do you want to continue fighting, or do you want to try and evade and and break off combat?
Um, that's there was. I don't know about evading, but putting myself. So essentially, I've got a guy in either spot. If I could move around to where I'm going to force one of them to actually spend a turn to move to me. I don't know.
No,
Um,
evading these guys is something you can do right now. I wouldn't give you the option if you couldn't.
right. Um, yeah. Yeah. I'll take it. We'll go ahead and do the evade. I'm just going to try to rely on the remembering what terrain was around me so that I can camouflage myself and possibly disappear.
Well, you're not going to be able to use camouflage until you get some distance put between the two of you.
Okay, but at least I'll
However,
remember the tracking part of it.
yeah, the good thing is you as a Kai Lord can run circles around both of them. One of them because he's in heavy armor, the other one because he's, well, dead. Not known
Okay,
for speed. They're known for endurance.
right.
So I'm going to make the difficulty on this one a 5. You unfortunately do not have any bonuses to affect this, but I will remind you of Kai's favor, which
Right,
will allow you to re-roll if you so choose.
right. I got you. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah, I will take the reroll. So,
Oh, yeah, good call on that. So subtract 1 from Kai's favor
okay.
and roll it again.
Oh, even worse than the last time.
Oh,
They,
good
they
lord.
really, they really want to go at it here.
Um, oh goodness.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so I
basically,
took my action, and they're gonna have to take
yeah,
theirs. So,
you tried to evade, but it didn't quite work. So I am going to actually use the random number table just because I can. No, I'm not. I can't find any of my tokens. Okay. So we'll do this. We'll do this the old-fashioned way. And let's see. It's got a. This may be good. Um, okay, the Vordak is able to swing hard enough, just to ring your bell, basically. It dealt 4 damage, which is eaten up by your armor, so you only actually take 1 point.
right.
And the Drakkar swinging its serrated sword. Let me see here. So that was,
5.
he was at -3. So 5, -3. Again, your armor takes the most of his blow. You only take 1 endurance point of damage. And you can hear the Drakkar just kind of, growling under its breath, and it's echoing through his helmet. Obviously pissed off that they haven't managed to kill you yet, because you're just a little kid, and you've got a lieutenant of the undead hordes, plus a Drakkar. He's probably thinking this was going to be an easy payday, and it has not been thus far.
Right.
Okay, so it's now there. And you can try to evade again, or you can act first in this combat round.
I'll take advantage of acting first, and we'll go after the same guy after. I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but yeah.
The Vordak?
The Vordak, there you go.
Okay. So he's sitting at a 22 right now.
Okay, so that's a -1.
-1.
-1, and that's a 4.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you managed to hurt him a little bit more than he hurt you.
Okay.
You basically broad-bladed him with the fat end of your axe, and kind of rocked him on his heels. But he ends up coming back with his sword, and actually the sword gets stuck in your chainmail. Oh wait, no, you don't have
Don't
chainmail.
have a
You've got
leather
the leather
jerkin.
jerk. Okay,
It's got
so
my shield.
basically, his sword gets caught in between the folds of your leather armor, and he sits there and he tries to saw it back and forth, trying to pull it out or to cut you. And
Right.
finally, the sword gives way. You only take 1 point of damage. Your defense of 4 is really helping you out right now.
Okay. So
And like I said, the Vordak is literally, you can see it. It's fighting to stay on its feet. But the Drakkar lunges forward, and with him, you have a +3.
Right.
So go ahead and give me a roll. Let's see what you get. Oh, wow. Wow. It's a shame you weren't attacking. But he charges forward and just lunges at you, and you just easily sidestep it to the point where you're actually flanking him, standing there on his left-hand side. And, his head's spinning around trying to see, trying to notice that you're there because you move so fast. Took him by complete surprise. Top of the next round, you can evade or you can continue fighting.
So he basically changed positions, didn't he? He went from being on one side to the other. So
Yeah, literally.
yeah. I'm gonna I'll stay with the guy I've been working on here.
The
Hopefully
Vordak.
one more. Yeah, the Vordak on -1. Get it. 3. The numbers are getting lower.
Yes, but his efforts are essentially the exact same as what just happened. He ends up getting his sword stuck in the folds of your armor again. You're going to have to get a new leather jerkin because this one's just getting sliced.
Right.
But
You
you end up only taking 1 point of endurance loss, whereas your axe bites into his neck. And if it weren't for his regeneration, you would have decapitated him.
Right.
So one more good hit, and this thing is dead.
Well, he was dead before. So what's the after being undead?
You're dead again.
You're dead again. Okay, just double checking.
Yep.
Anyway, so you got the Drakkar at a -3, and we'll set up for a roll.
Oh my God!
And it's a 9 again.
Why
He's
can't you
dancing.
be attacking? Why can't you be attacking?
I don't know. Well, because I don't
Again,
have a -3 unless I'm attacking him. So.
he tries to basically swing wide and catch you, and you duck under the blade and go right behind him. You're actually standing at his back. Give me a luck check.
Okay. Let's see how. What would we be using on that? Just the.
You're rolling a D10. Yeah, no.
Oh, okay.
You're still rolling a D10.
Okay.
A 0 to 4 is bad luck. 5 to 9 is good luck. Straight out of the book, dude.
8.
All right, you got an 8. You come up behind this guy, and it's sheer impulse. You bring your axe up really close between the two of you, and you can feel it biting through his armor. You instantly see like a huge just gout of blood start pouring out from this poor man's back. You just did 18 points of damage to him.
Oh, he's still holding on. We're gonna have to push that wound a little bit there.
Oh no, dude, he's in as bad shape as the Vordak, and he doesn't have regeneration.
So the this basically the system runs when you hit zero, it's done, right? You know.
Yeah, yeah. You
Okay.
hit zero endurance, you're
Okay.
done, no matter what.
Okay.
Well, unless you have a power or something that says otherwise. But yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I'll go after the Vordak one more time then, since
this should be the death blow.
all right, -1 again, chipping away at him.
Well, this chip took away his head.
Oh, well,
And he was not able to attack you. You basically decapitated him before he could complete his attack. The mind blast stops. You have a splitting headache, but I mean, other than that, the Drakkar takes a couple of steps back, um, and looks at you, glances down at the Vordak, spins on his heel, and starts running. Now, of course,
he's
you
in
can
full armor.
yeah, he's in full armor, so you can go ahead and make an attack as he turned his back and kill him, or you
Oh,
can let him run free.
we're gonna go ahead and finish off this
Good,
since I'm letting
good.
him run around.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't.
there's
Oh my
a
God.
-3 and an 8.
No, it's a +3.
Oh, it's +3 on my end.
Um, Basically, as he starts to run, you take 2 quick steps up and chop off one of his legs with your axe.
Oh,
And of course, he falls to the ground, wiggling and screaming, but he's not screaming for that long, um, as massive blood loss does him in.
right.
Um, and you're just kind of standing there, surprised that you were able to take down a Vordak and a Dracarum, and you start to feel um, warm in this early morning chill. Um, and
Is there
after
a
a few
break in the
seconds,
clouds?
what's that?
There's no break in the clouds or anything? Like,
No, no.
okay,
It's still
it's still raining
very
and whatnot.
much, yeah, very much nasty weather overhead. It has not stopped raining this entire time, and the heat is obviously coming from behind you. Um, and you kind of turn around and you look, and the Vordak literally is crumbling into ash. But the ash kind of flies and floats in and around itself until it's a little black box about the size of a Rubik's Cube.
Okay. Well, we'll add that to my special collection. Uh, Black box. Is the Drakkar, his his helmet's still intact, right?
Yeah, but there's no way you would wear it.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm
it's
just trying to figure out if there's a
obviously.
way to disguise myself with that stuff.
Oh no, no, you screwed up that armor way too much. Way too much. There's no way on that planet, man. It can't be done. Um, and you don't want to be wearing the robe that the Vordak just died in. Um, so yeah, you're
Okay.
kind of stuck looking like you for right now.
Yeah. Muddy and in pieces. Okay. So I I guess I turn to look at whatever potential heat source I got coming from behind me. You said.
Yeah. It it seems to be coming from where the Vordak fell. You know.
Okay.
Um, Wait, didn't you say you picked up the black cube?
Yeah, I went to pick it. Well, I would have gone to take a look at it first, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the source of the warmth. Um, and it's I mean, you can tell without touching it. That's where the warmth is coming from. It's not like it's hot.
Okay.
Um, just like hand warmers that you would put inside gloves,
Right.
keep your hands
Okay.
warm when it's snowing and whatnot. Isn't that right, baby girl? Yeah.
All right.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. So we put the. So let's see. So I got just a thing for clerical purposes here. The scroll would be is that considered a special item?
Yes.
Okay, and the black box is considered a special item.
Yes.
And what about the miscellaneous bolts from the crossbow? Where would those go?
Useless.
Okay,
You don't
nothing
have a
I can't like.
crossbow.
Nah, but if I like repurpose them,
They can't be used as arrows.
nah, make them like makeshift daggers or something, just for so I don't end up losing my weapon. But anyway, okay. Scroll here. Yeah, black box there. All right. When things are too wet for me to try to torch the bodies or torch the body of the Jakar, right? It's just leave nothing behind.
Um, Let me see here. Okay, I'm going to need you to make a test roll
Okay.
for which you have no bonuses whatsoever. This is basically just to see if you've heard of a certain something.
Okay.
Um, and it's not exactly common knowledge,
Right.
so you're going to need to hit a 6 or higher.
Okay. Um, the before we do this, the condition of the sword of the Vordak. I mean,
Gone.
okay. Let's double
It's
check it.
gone.
And the Jakar.
Now, the sword breaker from the Drakkar is still there, obviously, and
Right.
it's huge. It's the size of a bastard sword,
Right.
and they're called sword breakers. You catch one on that serrated edge and then twist your blade,
Right.
and the
It's
other sword breaks. That's what
okay.
they're designed for.
All right. All right. So let me roll this test then, and we'll see what we can come up with. Got a 7.
All right, good to see. You start to feel a little bit more heat. You're guessing it's emanating from the black cube.
Mm-hmm.
And then you remember one of your instructors who was trying to help you in developing your psychic powers. Um, was teaching you about the psychic powers that the undead hordes of the Darklands possess. And basically, that black cube, from what you're remembering from your lessons, is literally the magical engine that animates the corpses. If they are touched by anything other than an undead, they will slowly heat up to the point of an explosion. Now, it's not that hot yet, but
Right.
it will be that hot. And if you're looking for some way to destroy
Right.
the corpse and anything
Right.
you leave behind, that cube in about a minute and a half or 2 minutes will be more than enough to take care of it.
Okay.
Because
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna like animate the corpse.
no,
So.
no,
All right.
The Vordak is dead.
Okay. So I
So
take the not the Vordak, the Jakar. I just wanted to make
yeah,
sure I wasn't gonna be reanimating.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
The Vordak, the black cubes that animate the
Mm-hmm.
Vordaks
Right.
are singularly made. They have to be made for each corpse.
Okay.
So you can't use one black cube to animate another Vordak.
Okay. Is there a like maybe a stony area or something? I just want to make sure that when I torch this guy that I'm not going to set anything else on fire.
Um, you're not exactly sure how powerful the explosion will be.
Okay.
Um, and how much of it will be fire and how much of it will be like magical energy or shrapnel or whatever. You've never
Okay.
seen one of these things go off.
All right.
So,
All right. So no worries. I'm gonna take the whatever remnants from the between these two guys. I'm gonna basically bundle up the corpse with including his sword and
okay.
and everything. And then I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna insert that. I'm gonna use my spear, the butt of my spear, to put it like kind of dead center. And so, if anything, when it goes off, the only thing that may be still left that might be the top of his head and his boots,
Okay.
ideally. So, yeah. And then I'll
Um,
back off a ways just to wait and see what happens.
yeah.
So,
You plant the black cube, um, and it's about 5 times hotter than it was when you last touched it.
uh-huh.
And you start to back up as it starts to lighten in color to the point where it's so bright you can't even look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of glance away just in time before it looks like white phosphorus just explodes and covers at least a good 10-foot area. Um,
Oh, he's
and
gone.
it definitely would have killed you, but
Right.
it basically everything within that 10-foot radius um, is nothing but dust now. I mean, the
Yeah.
bushes, anything. If there was a tree there, the tree is falling.
White
And just
phosphorus and water don't mix. That's not good.
well, no, it's not even that. I mean, like I said, this is magical energy,
Right.
so it
Okay.
doesn't have to follow the laws of physics.
Okay. All right.
But
So,
yeah, no problem getting rid of that stuff.
all right. I'm gonna find a spot off and out of the way, and I'm going to use my healing skill and see
Oh
what I can do
wow,
about healing.
I can't even remember how that works. I just know that if you sleep, you tend to get most of your points back. So
Right.
I am actually going to have to look. No, that's the adventure book. I need the training book. See, the books aren't that big either, so I mean, finding stuff is really
Yeah.
simple. They've actually got a really good index. 38. Okay. Okay, you automatically regain 1 endurance point every 2 hours. It's
Okay.
constant. You don't even have to be conscious. Um, you can also do a meditative trance. For every 10 minutes you meditate and are undisturbed, you get a point back. You can meditate for a total of 1 hour a day.
Okay. So the
And then you
question is, how long have I been going for? That part I forgot to check on when we were.
you've been going for several hours.
Okay, but it's still in the same day.
Yeah, it's still in the same day.
All right. Okay, so let's
So
do it this way then. I'm gonna find a place that's off, kind of off the beaten path and a little secluded, and
okay.
I'm gonna take an
You
hour to
man,
meditate.
it's really simple. You find yourself, a crag in the foothills, the
Right.
Rocky foothills, um, and it's pretty defensible. It's a very slight entryway, so it's not like there's going to be a bear coming home or anything.
Hi, honey,
Um,
I'm home.
between tracking and animal kinship, you're pretty positive that this is going to be okay for you.
Okay, so I take the
Um,
hour for meditation,
okay, so that's 60 minutes
right?
equals 6 points of endurance.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then I'll
Now,
use the next.
also, um, well, no, because it's automatic every 2 hours, and you're only meditating for 1.
Right, but the 2 hours is
So
different than the meditating part. So I'll have
right,
to get up and go active for the next hour to get the next.
right,
So yeah,
right. But it's like clockwork. You never have to do anything to activate it. It's always there.
okay, no
Um,
worries. Um, I've got what I need, so I'm gonna get back on the trail then. Keeping an eye out for the big winged squeaky flying creature, which I every time I
Slam
think,
beast.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think about the one from oh, what was the from the Lord of the Rings, the ones that the Wraith Lords rode on. That's what I think of.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. They are that big.
Big, loud, and
Um,
noisy.
yeah, definitely. Fortunately, no breath weapons or anything like that. Um, so basically, I'm gonna wind things down here,
Okay,
because it's 11:30 my time.
it's 11:30
So
my time too.
okay, you come out of your meditative trance, and the rain has lessened just a little bit. And you look west, past the foothills, up into the mountains themselves. Um, but you see something that you couldn't have seen before because just the rainfall was just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it seems like there are volcanic vents that are pluming, just ash black soot up into the air. And it's probably a safe bet that that's one of the reasons why it's been so dark. Um, you don't know enough to know if these are, actually active volcanoes,
Uh-huh.
or if they're just forming or what.
Right, but
Um,
it's something I was familiar with as a kid. Something we
no,
no.
no.
Okay, some
You've never seen anything like this around this area of the mountains. In
okay,
fact, you've never seen mountains with volcanic vents like this at all.
okay,
Um, you've heard
and
of the
I'm
phenomenon. You've heard of the phenomenon once before,
uh
but that was near the Mackin Gorge, which
okay,
is past Ruinon. Like I said, like 200 miles south of where you are right now.
and I'm not lost, am I?
No, no, you know exactly where you are.
Double
You know
checking.
exactly where you are.
Okay,
Um,
all right.
yeah.
Okay, so in wrapping things up, I'm between my tracking and my animal kinship, I'm trying to locate another animal to use as a messenger.
No, it's easy.
Okay,
You managed to find trying to find something here that
we did.
um you find an owl,
Okay.
so you're not looking around and finding a stupid little lizard, you know.
Okay. Um. So yeah, I make up another one of these messages. I'm like, uh, I'm near the I'm in the foothills. Come across, the car, the Vordak. I've seen this the big flying creature. I and Gaiac, and we got um. And I said, there's some type of pluming activity, something spitting ash into the air, and I'll I'll give the owl directions and send it off on its way.
You'll find that pretty much anything in this area knows where the Kai Monastery is,
Okay.
because it's literally a fount of psychic energy.
Okay. No worries.
So yeah, you really don't have to worry about giving it instructions on how to get there. It knows.
Okay.
Um, Even if it's just, kind of, you know, not conscious knowledge. It's just more instinctive.
Right. Okay.
Um, and we can say that you stay in that crag, and get you a good night's rest,
Okay.
which will
That'll heal me up. So,
give you 8, so another 4 endurance back.
yeah, I was at before that I was only at 2 down, so
Yeah, so yeah, full back.
that was a
Um,
pretty interesting combat though.
yeah.
1 point of
Um,
damage. 1 point of damage. No damage. 1 point of damage.
and according to the advancement chart, your first adventure being complete, so you get +1 to your endurance total. So
Nice.
your endurance actually goes up by 1 point.
Okay.
At the end of your next adventure, you get a new trait of your choice.
All right.
So if you're able to play with us
Oh yeah.
next weekend, you can play the same character.
Okay.
Or if you want to try your hand at making your own character, that works too.
Okay.
Either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that you were a fan of this stuff, prior to playing today, because anytime somebody asked me to explain something, I just pointed them out to Wiki. I was like, I've got too much to do today to try and explain everything because it's a lot.
Oh yeah. No
Um,
worries. That's like I said. That's yeah. I don't have anything to really complain about. I just oh so
so was a good
I'm not
time.
sure about the. So you're doing what Saturday of next week?
Next weekend, Saturday, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. I'm.
unless there's like a hard time getting people together,
Okay.
and then when that happens, then yeah, I will try to reschedule so that everybody can make it.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. I am Mountain Standard Time. I live in Idaho, so
Okay.
yeah. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
in
just
Wyoming, so
you actually live in Cheyenne?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was through your neck of the woods about 2 weeks ago, so I have an aunt and uncle that live there, so
Well, um, any any questions, comments, or anything for the folks at home?
I
Uh,
this is about the simplest system you're gonna find. I yeah I yeah. There's not really it, yeah. There's not really much else to it. You don't. There's not any complications. You don't have to configure numbers. I think finding a. I think I'll have to pull off a chart. Um, one of the I can't remember what they call it. The random number charts
yeah.
off of I'll just go on the Project Aeon and pick one up and see if I can't find one I can just take a screenshot of. But yeah, other than that, this yeah. So how many you got other individuals that are ready to go with this then?
I have people that were very interested and they wanted to play today, um, but apparently just they couldn't make it.
Okay.
Um, and I've got some people interested in next weekend.
Okay.
But
So we're looking at the 10th. Is that what you're saying? Is looking at the 10th?
no, not this weekend. Next
So
weekend.
the 17th. So
I,
okay.
I believe I believe that is. Let me see here. Pull this up real quick. Good Lord, they're not
Yeah,
even.
it should be the 17th.
Yeah, 17th, starting at 5 o'clock.
Okay, 5 Mountain Standard. Okay.
Yeah. So
All
we
right.
wouldn't be playing this late. You know, we'd
Oh no
actually be
no.
we'd be stopping like around 10 o'clock or so.
Okay.
I try to run for about 4 hours.
Okay. Sounds
So
good. Yeah. No, I don't have anything else. For those that are going to be looking at this later, I mean, not a whole lot of complications. So yeah, really lots of versatility. So and you got like 10 days, or a little more, and go to Project Aeon and read through some of those books.
definitely,
So,
definitely.
uh, yeah, um, and you can find me on Facebook, and if you got questions, I can take time to answer.
I can't hear you. Now you're muted. Can you hear me? And nothing from your end. Okay, well, we pretty much said what we were going to say. So, you know, um, yeah. 17th, 1700 hours, Mountain Standard Time. We'll run till probably about 10 o'clock. And hopefully a few of you will have found this at least passingly interesting and you'll want to give it a shot with us. Until then, my name's Eric Padraig. You can find me at Haphazard Projects here on Facebook or pretty much anywhere else on Facebook. I tend to pop in the most strange places with no forewarning whatsoever. But yeah, definitely look into the Lone Wolf adventure game, and I will see some of you. There's a Nightbane game I'm trying to get into. Otherwise, we will see you on the 17th. I will be recording again and trying to move this campaign forward a little bit. So, good night, and we will see you soon.